Disclaimer: this masterclass is offered publicly and without profit for nonprofit educational and informational purposes and is intended to be shared freely. Copying or reproducing this video is prohibited. Full disclaimer is at the end of the video.
Why do we love our Australian Shepherds and Miniature American Shepherds? They are beautiful and are wonderful companions. They are bright, energetic, and make fantastic partners for work, sports, and play. They are our best friends. Aussies and Miniature Americans excel in all these roles because of their unique physical and mental characteristics. They will continue to excel and fulfill their promise only if we, as breeders and judges, stay true to the breed standard. The purpose of this masterclass is to equip you to protect the future of these breeds. True to the breed standard. Here's an important quote to think about, which is from an ebook by Jean Joy Hartnagel Taylor. When we stop looking at the dogs through the lens of its original purpose, be it herding, hunting, retrieving, etc., we will have created in time a distinctly different breed. Hello and welcome to this masterclass, which was created specifically for Aussie and Miniature American breeders and judges. This video illustrates the FCI breed standards in detail using photos for clarification. It is based on the breed standard comparison books that were co-created by 3 highly respected judges. They are Paula McDermott of the USA, Claudia Bosselman of Germany, and Inga Serbule of Latvia. These women are longtime breeders and judges of Australian Shepherds. Mrs. Bosselman and Mrs. Serbule also judge Miniature American Shepherds. During this masterclass, you will deepen your understanding of the breed standards. There will be particular focus on traits where these breeds are evolving toward exaggeration. It's vital for judges and breeders to evaluate dogs against the breed standard and not against what's currently winning in the show ring. During this masterclass, you will learn: 1. What is the ideal structure that enables these breeds to be so versatile? 2. Which traits are desirable or undesirable, and especially 3. Why faulty traits are a problem, so you understand they are not just cosmetic. We want our Aussies and Miniature Americans to continue to be true to their heritage and maintain their ability to do it all. When certain traits evolve away from the breed standards, such as exaggerated heads and excess bone and coat, the breed's destiny is at stake. This masterclass can equip you to protect the future of these breeds we adore. You'll love how this masterclass works because photos are used to help clarify the breed standards. Like this, not that. You'll see detailed photos comparing what's correct and what's not, such as the differences between a correct head and an exaggerated head. Why traits are important. You'll learn what many people don't know, the reasons why specific conformation traits are important. For example, what is the correct amount of rear angulation and why is that? Terminology explained. You'll finally understand terms that are not defined in the FCI standards, such as non-typical coats. Bred to be athletic. Athletic ability is one of the most important characteristics of Australian Shepherds and Miniature American Shepherds, and in order to be athletic, they must be moderate in size and bone. Athletic ability means a dog has the physical structure to move at top speed, skid to a stop, turn instantly, and dash away in a different direction. It means a dog can dodge flying hoofs and horns. It means the difference between a functional stock dog and a dog who could be severely injured or killed by livestock. Today, when many people don't have livestock, the traits of moderation and athleticism are important for competing in dog sports, for active family pets, and for challenging working jobs. These breeds need to be built for function. Behavior and temperament. According to their breed standard, Australian Shepherds are intelligent, with strong herding and guarding instincts. They are devoted to their families. They are good-natured, but may be somewhat reserved in initial meetings. Miniature American Shepherds are intelligent, easily trained, good-natured, and loyal. They are protective of their families and may be reserved with strangers, but they are not shy. What does the word reserved mean? A reserved dog is confident, but not eager to immediately have close contact with strangers. The attention and friendship of strangers is not important to him. It means a dog will calmly accept a judge going over him and allow strangers to come into his home. But he does not seek out attention from people he does not know. Judges occasionally see a dog in the show ring who is fearful or shy. That is not what reserved means, and shyness is undesirable. Many dogs become more confident as they mature, provided they get the right training and social exposure. Importance of moderate structure. Aussies and Miniature Americans were developed as livestock herding breeds who needed to have moderate structure, athletic ability, drive, and stamina. These traits are also perfect for competing in canine sports and many other activities. Let's take a look at some of the things these breeds enjoy doing. Animated, attentive, lithe, agile. Aussies and Miniature Americans need to be agile, structurally sound, and totally functional. Athletic ability is one of the most important characteristics of these breeds. When breeding or judging, it's vital to select athletic, agile dogs and avoid traits that diminish their capacity to perform strenuous activities. Because of their physical stamina, moderate size, high intelligence, and eagerness to learn, Aussies and Miniature Americans are prized for the work they perform. One of their indispensable qualities is the drive to keep working when the going gets tough. Crisis response. This is Kathy and her Aussie, Hawk, who were part of a crisis response team that searched for survivors in the rubble of the World Trade Towers after the 9/11 attack that killed 3,000 people. Kathy and Hawk worked together for countless hours in dangerous conditions, which demanded tremendous drive and endurance. In the upper left photo, Kathy is checking Hawk's feet to be sure they were not injured by debris. The upper right photo shows one of the bronze monuments dedicated to the canine heroes of 9/11. This beautiful monument was modeled after Hawk, and it represents the tremendous capabilities of Australian Shepherds. Moderate size and bone. The top two dogs are excellent examples of moderate size and bone. The Aussie male in the upper left photo is solidly built and masculine without being coarse. The Miniature American female in the upper right photo is solidly built yet feminine. The dogs in the lower two photos are extremes, which are not desirable. In some regions, there's a trend toward large Aussies with excess bone, which is undesirable because it decreases a dog's athletic ability. A heavy-boned dog might be able to perform strenuous tasks for a short period of time, but will not have the stamina to work hard for an entire day. A correct, moderate dog will have endurance. Proportions and size. These breeds are slightly longer than tall. Aussies are measured from the breastbone to rear of thigh and from top of the withers to the ground. Miniature Americans are measured from the point of the shoulder to the point of the buttocks and from the highest point of the shoulder blade to the ground. The standards list maximum and minimum desirable heights. For Aussies, these are preferred heights, but there is no disqualification. However, Miniature Americans have a disqualification for oversize or undersize. Head, strong and expressive. Why is it important to discuss the head in detail? The head is one of the defining characteristics of every breed. For Aussies and Miniature Americans, the head was developed to be structurally strong with a powerful grip for working livestock. A correct head is beautiful, and it is practical and fully functional for all the sports and activities we enjoy with our dogs. Clean cut, dry head. What does clean cut mean? Clean cut is a chiseled, somewhat angular outline. It is neither soft nor overly round. What does dry mean? Dry is a head that is neat and tidy with no loose skin around the eyes, lips, or throat. Correct and exaggerated head comparison. Notice the dramatic difference in head planes of these two dogs. On the left, the dog has correct head planes as described in the Aussie breed standard. On the right, the dog has an exaggerated domed head with a steep stop. Correct head planes. The FCI standard for Australian Shepherds states that when viewed from the side, the top line of the back skull and muzzle form parallel planes, divided by a moderate, well-defined stop. The top skull may be flat to slightly domed and may show a slight occipital protuberance. The far left and center photos show correct Aussie head planes. The Aussie in the middle photo has thick fur on top of his head, which should be smoothed down to check his true skull shape. The FCI standard for Miniature American Shepherds is slightly different. It states that when viewed from the side, the muzzle and the top line of the crown are slightly oblique to each other, with the front of the crown on a slight angle downward toward the nose. The crown is flat to slightly round and may show a slight occipital protuberance. These head planes are correctly represented by the Miniature American on the far right. Head structure comparison. This is Ryder, an Australian Shepherd. He was rounding up range cattle in Texas with his owner, Susan, who was on horseback. When their job was finished and Susan was unsaddling her horse, she noticed that Ryder had a minor injury around one of the eyes. He had been kicked by a cow. The skin above and below his eye was scraped, but Ryder's eye was not damaged because the cow's hoof had glanced off. His moderate stop and correct head planes protected Ryder from severe injury. These dogs also have correct profiles that would help protect their vital senses from being severely damaged by a blow to the head. In contrast, notice the exaggerated steep stop and domed skull of this blue merle. This head shape could catch a hoof and it wouldn't glance off. A frontal kick would put this dog at high risk of damage to his brain, eyes, and other vital senses. This domed head is undesirable, yet is a current trend because the expression is cute like a teddy bear. This is not correct. The expression of Aussies and Miniature Americans should be keen and intelligent. Head proportions. For Aussies, the length and width of the skull are equal. The muzzle is equal in length or slightly shorter than the back skull. The muzzle tapers little from base to nose and is rounded at the tip. For Miniature Americans, the width and the length of the crown are equal. Muzzle length is equal to the length of the crown. Muzzle is of medium width and depth, tapering gradually to a rounded tip without appearing heavy, square, or snipey. Why are these proportions important? They define the ideal shape so the head doesn't become too short and wide or too long and narrow. The stockman who wrote the breed standards knew from decades of experience which head structure was best. Strong head and underjaw. What is a strong head? It has strong bone structure of skull and muzzle and strong protective bone around the eyes. The muzzle is full and has a deep underjaw. Why is that important? Stock dogs need a strong head and underjaw for gripping livestock and to minimize injury to their head, muzzle, and teeth from the impact of a kick. Dogs who are work partners, competitors in canine sports, and family dogs require a strong head to minimize injury from a blow to the head or collision with an object. Snug skin around eyes. Aussies and Miniature Americans should have eyes that are almond-shaped and neither protruding nor sunken. Just like in people, the eyeball itself is actually round. Snug skin is important because it protects the eyes and creates the characteristic almond shape. When the skin of the head is loose or the lower eyelid muscles are weak, the lower eyelid can droop down and roll away from the eye, exposing the delicate inner eyelid tissue. This is called a haw or ectropion. Eyes can be damaged if seeds, dirt, or debris are trapped in the haw, causing inflammation, scarring, and impaired vision. These are painful conditions that reduce the dog's quality of life, and they may require costly medical treatment. Snug skin around mouth and lips. On a correct mouth, the upper and lower lips close tightly and fit together all the way around the muzzle. The corner of the mouth should not be loose, and there should not be saliva dripping out. Why is loose skin around the mouth undesirable? Loose, sagging lips, which are also known as flews, can become snagged and torn during conflict with other animals, and they detract from correct breed type. Jaws and teeth. A scissors bite is ideal for both Aussies and Miniature Americans. A level or pincer bite is not ideal, but is acceptable for Australian Shepherds. However, for Miniature American Shepherds, only the scissors bite is correct. A level bite is a fault, but it is not listed as a disqualification in the FCI standard. A correct jaw with a scissors bite closes tightly like a zipper along the entire length of the jaw. This structure can minimize damage to the teeth and muzzle if the dog receives a blow to the head, such as from a kick by a cow or collision with an object. A truly functional bite wears evenly and requires minimal dental intervention over the lifetime of the dog. Incorrect bites. Overshot and undershot bites are a disqualification for both breeds. Faulty jaw development is usually hereditary, and affected dogs should not be used for breeding. It is unethical to show a dog in conformation if orthodontics were performed to correct a genetically disqualifying bite. Why does it matter? Disqualifying bites are not functional. Incorrect bites can cause damage and pain to the teeth and gums, and may require costly medical treatment to enable the dog to close his mouth. A dog with a significant overshot or undershot bite may not be able to eat properly, may not be able to pull burrs out of his own feet, and a stock dog can't grip livestock properly. Pigmentation of the nose, eye rims, and lips. In both breeds, the blue merles and blacks have black pigmentation on their noses, eye rims, and lips. The red merles and reds have liver pigmentation on their noses, eye rims, and lips. Nose pigmentation faults. For Aussies, the merles are allowed to have small pink spots on their noses, but they should not exceed 25% of the nose on dogs over 1 year of age. Lack of nose pigment is faulted but not disqualified. For Miniature Americans, fully pigmented noses are preferred. Noses that are less than fully pigmented are faulted or are disqualified if there is more than 50% unpigmented nose leather. Why is nose pigment important? Pink noses are at higher risk of sun damage, which can potentially become cancerous. This is highly undesirable for dogs who spend a significant amount of time outdoors. Eye color and shape. One or both eyes may be brown, blue, hazel, amber, or any color combination, including flecks and marbling. These colors are acceptable in all coat colors, with no order of preference. Eyes should be almond-shaped, neither protruding nor sunken, and the skin should fit snugly. They should be set obliquely, which means the outer corner of the eye is higher than the inner corner. Normal eyelids provide lubrication, keep the eyes clean, and help protect them from injury by wind, debris, or trauma. Eye shape faults. Protruding or sunken eyes are faulted. Eye shape faults are caused by incorrect head structure, resulting in poorly positioned eyes and eye sockets. Protruding eyes are vulnerable to injury from debris and physical trauma. Drooping lower eyelids, or haws, can be caused by loose skin on the head or weak lower eyelid muscles, and can result in painful inflammation and damage to the eyes, which reduce the dog's quality of life. In addition to the risk of injury, eye shape faults detract from correct, intelligent expression. Blue and marbled eyes. One or both eyes may be brown, blue, hazel, amber, or any color combination, including flecks and marbling. It is common to see blue eyes on dogs with solid color coats. There is no order of preference for eye color. In merles, eyes can be marbled with flecks and blotches of brown, amber, or blue. Marbling occurs in the iris, which is the colored area in the eye. The pupil, which is the black center of the eye, should be perfectly round in shape. Marbled eyes should not be confused with iris colobomas, which can look somewhat similar. An iris coloboma is a defect that may look like an irregularly shaped pupil or a notch or hole in the iris. Colobomas are a defect that occur when part of the iris fails to develop before birth. Ear size and ear set. Both breeds should have triangular-shaped ears of moderate size and leather set high on the head. At full attention, they break forward and over or to the side as a rose ear. It is perfectly acceptable for one ear to break forward and the other ear to break to the side. Notice the moderate ear sizes of these dogs and how they break forward or to the side. These are all correct. Correct ear size can be determined by pulling the ear gently forward. The tip of the ear should reach to, but not further than, the inside corner of the nearest eye. Ear faults. Prick ears and ears that hang with no lift are severely faulted in both breeds because they detract significantly from breed character, but they are not disqualified because of the relative unimportance of ear set compared to structural soundness. Why are incorrect ears faulted? Because excess ear leather has a greater risk of being torn. Low-hanging ears with no lift are more susceptible to infection, and large, pendulous ears give an uncharacteristic, droopy expression. Prick ears also detract from characteristic expression. Ears that are too large and low set. Currently, there's a trend toward ears that are too large and set too low. Unfortunately, some breeders and judges believe this is correct because they are seen on so many dogs. All the ears on this slide are less than ideal and detract from correct expression and breed type. The yellow dots indicate correct ear size. Expression. Expression is created by the combination of head structure, eye shape, eye placement, and ear position, size, and break. The expression of Australian Shepherds should show attentiveness and intelligence, look alert and eager. Gaze should be keen but friendly. The expression of miniature American Shepherds should be alert, attentive, and intelligent. They may express a reserved look or be watchful of strangers. These dogs show the alert, intelligent expressions of both breeds. Body. Moderate and athletic. In this section, The standards define the overall structure and appearance of the breeds, which should give an impression of athletic ability and strength, but without bulkiness. Male profiles. Males and females should look like their respective genders without being too coarse or too fine. Males should be solidly built with moderate bone. They should be masculine without being coarse. There is a trend for males to have considerably more bone and coat than these dogs, a trend that is undesirable. Female profiles. Females should be solidly built with moderate bone. They should appear feminine without being slight of bone. A female should be immediately recognizable as a girl. If she has so much bone and coat that she looks like a male, she is not correct. Top line and loin. A dog's top line plays an important role in allowing the dog to perform the tasks for which it was bred. A strong, evenly muscled top line will give the dog endurance at a steady pace. The loin provides spinal flexibility, enabling him to turn quickly. When a correctly angulated and well-conditioned Aussie or Miniature American is trotting, his top line will appear as a smooth, level line that looks like it is floating around the yard or the show ring. Why is this important? The back and the loin transfer thrust from the rear quarters to the forequarters. The best construction enables the smoothest, most efficient movement with the least amount of power loss. Top line and stance. A sloping top line is never correct for these breeds. A level back and four-square stance is correct. Back, chest, ribcage, and loin. The back needs to be strong so it can properly support the ribcage and lungs. The ribcage is long, with moderate length of loin. Ribs are well sprung to provide maximum lung capacity for endurance. When viewed from the front, the ribcage is nearly egg-shaped, with the narrow end of the egg pointing downwards. The ribcage is full at the spine and tapers in at the elbow to allow freedom of movement of the front legs. The chest is moderately deep, reaching to the elbow. On an average-sized adult Aussie, the chest width between the front legs should accommodate the width of the palm of a hand. In coated breeds like Aussies and Miniature Americans, the dog's body should be examined with your hands, because hair may disguise the true proportions. It is important to verify by hand the relative length of ribcage and loin. Length of body should come primarily from the length of ribcage with a short, muscular loin. Shoulder angulation. Shoulder blades are long, flat, set fairly close together at the withers, and well laid back. The shoulder blade should be about the same length as the upper arm, and these bones should meet at an approximate right angle. Why is this important? Dogs with well-angulated shoulders can unfold those angles to reach far forward and push well back. The angulation of the forequarters partially determines how much ground a dog can cover with each stride, and therefore how efficient his movement is. Hindquarter angulation. The angulation of the pelvis and upper thigh corresponds to the angulation of the shoulder blade and upper arm. When the angulation of the forequarters matches the angulation of the hindquarters, the dog is in balance and will have efficient side gait. Correct and exaggerated rear angulation. The dog on the left has correct, moderate angulation of the rear quarters and correct length of the bones between his knee joint and hock joint as shown by the dotted yellow line. When viewed from the side, with the hocks forming a right angle to the ground, the correct angles and correct length of bones place his rear feet directly underneath the bones he sits on, as shown by the solid yellow line. Why is this important? This structure gives greater accuracy of rear foot placement and delivers the best combination of speed, endurance, and maneuverability while decreasing the risk of injury. This is a dog who is able to accelerate rapidly, stop instantly, and change direction and gait quickly as needed for work, sports, or play. The dog on the right has excessive angulation of the rear quarters, and the bones between his knee joint and hock joint are too long, as shown by the dotted red line. When viewed from the side, with the hocks forming a right angle to the ground, the excess angles and excess length of bones cause his rear feet to be placed far out behind the bones he sits on, as shown by the solid red line. This construction enables a longer trotting stride, but reduces stamina, stability, and the ability to stop quickly and turn sharply, which are essential characteristics of breed function. Incorrect angles and excess length of bones require greater muscular strength and coordination to stabilize the hindquarters. Any potential advantage in trotting ability is offset by muscular instability. This rear construction is a trend often seen in the show ring, where exaggerated reach and drive have become popular. More angulation is not better. Correct angulation is the amount that enables a dog to perform the job for which it was originally developed. Movement: balanced and effortless. The Aussie and Miniature American breed standards call for a moderate dog with a moderate length of stride. The side gait of these breeds is smooth, free, and easy, and they exhibit agility of movement with a well-balanced ground-covering stride. What does balanced side gait look like? Notice how the red merle's front legs and rear legs open the same distance from the midline, as shown by the yellow lines. This dog is in balance, which means thrust from the rear quarters is transmitted smoothly and without loss of power to the forequarters, creating efficient movement. The illustration on the right shows a dog with exaggerated side gait. His extended legs lift too high off the ground. Underneath the dog, his feet interfere with each other. This movement can be eye-catching in the show ring, but it is exhausting for a dog and would make it impossible for him to work all day. It also reduces his ability to stop quickly and turn sharply, as required in the breed standards. Note that a structurally correct dog can be forced to move incorrectly by trotting him too fast. The red merle shows that when side gait is balanced, the rear paw lands in the footprint of the front paw on the same side. Notice that the feet of all these dogs skim the ground with no wasted motion. These dogs are in balance and can cover a lot of ground with easy, powerful, and efficient movement. Balanced and unbalanced side gait. Balanced angulation and a strong top line allow thrust from the rear quarters to be transmitted smoothly and without loss of power to the forequarters, creating efficient ground-covering side gait, as shown in the photo on the far left. The photos in the center and far right are examples of unbalanced side gait. This young dog is crabbing, which means he must twist his hindquarters to the side so his rear paws won't step on his front paws. This is one example of a dog who is out of balance. The red circle shows that his hind paw lands on the right side of his front paw. In a correctly balanced dog, the hindquarters do not twist to the side, and the rear paw lands directly in the footprint of the front paw. When a dog has more front angulation than rear angulation, the dog will fall heavily on the forehand, as shown in this photo. This is another example of a dog who is out of balance. He won't be able to maintain an even, flowing gait and could not endure long days of working livestock or performing other strenuous work or sports. Correct balance construction provides the greatest potential for a dog to enjoy an active, healthy life. In the following video of working Aussies, watch these dogs carefully. Pay attention to when they move at a trot and when they use other gaits. Notice the agility they need to dodge hooves and horns. These dogs need tremendous speed and stamina. Aussies and Miniature Americans must be athletic, lithe, and agile, and have the stamina to work all day. Heart 2 Aussies. 5-month-old pup on yearling calves. Notice the speed and agility required for her to drop low to nip noses.
Move them down, please. Move those bull calves. Come on. That's good enough. Leave it. Next one. Move them out. Move them out. We almost got you.
Also notice the
Move 'em.
correct angulation of her shoulder and rear quarters
Good.
that enables her to be agile.
That's good enough. Good girl.
Jamie Burns, adult male working sheep. This dog is quietly moving a flock using the correct amount of pressure necessary to move them without causing stress. His side gait is moderate, which is appropriate for the situation.
Good boy.
Heart 2 Aussies. Team working on range cattle. Notice how these dogs work instinctively together. They run at top speed, lope, or trot as necessary, and have the tremendous speed and agility required to move the cattle while avoiding hooves and horns. Notice their moderate, efficient trot, as well as the other gaits they use. These 3 video clips show Aussies who are moderate in size, bone, and coat, and are true to the breed standard. These dogs demonstrate the purpose of the breed and the structure and movement required for herding tasks. Judges and breeders need to keep this firmly in mind to avoid being caught up in current trends of excess bone and coat that cause Aussies and miniature Americans to veer away from the breed standards. Movement down and back. The illustration on the far left shows that front and rear legs drop straight and perpendicular to the ground. The legs should not turn in nor out at the elbows, pasterns, or hocks. The dog should stand with his legs parallel, but there's a misconception that his legs should move in parallel planes. Parallel leg movement causes the body to roll from side to side, which is inefficient and incorrect. The 2 center photos show that the legs fall in a straight line from the elbows and hips to the feet. As speed increases, the feet will converge toward the center line of gravity, resembling a V shape, as shown by the yellow lines. This type of movement is efficient because it eliminates body roll and requires less force to maintain forward motion. Notice how the legs on these dogs are straight, with no turning in or turning out, and how they form a V shape when trotting. Movement faults, down and back. Dogs are shown at a trot in the show ring because the trotting gait reveals the faults and virtues of a dog's conformation. These illustrations show the most common movement faults seen when a dog moves away from and toward the judge. Poor structure diminishes the efficiency and power of the gait and increases stress on the ligaments and tendons that support joints. Incorrect movement of the legs exposes structural deficiencies of the front and rear assemblies. Feet. Aussies and miniature Americans must have correct feet to accomplish their tasks. They should have oval feet, which means that the 2 center toes are somewhat longer than the outer and inner toes. The toes on the hind feet are slightly longer than the toes on the front feet. Why is this important? An oval foot with well-arched toes offers the best combination of speed and endurance. Both breeds should have pads that are thick and resilient. Thin heel pads and loose heel ligaments are faults that can cause a dog to roll back on his heels, causing his front toes to tip upward. This severely reduces the foot's ability to absorb impact and can lead to lameness. Flat feet and excessive slope of pastern can cause early lameness in dogs who engage in canine sports and other strenuous activities. Tail. Aussies should have a tail that is straight, naturally long, or naturally short. A docked tail, in countries where this is not forbidden, or a naturally short tail, should not exceed 10 centimeters or 4 inches. Tail carriage is not addressed in the Aussie breed standard. For miniature Americans, a docked or natural bobtail is preferred. A docked tail is straight, not to exceed 7.5 centimeters or 3 inches in countries where docking is not forbidden. The undocked tail, when at rest, may hang in a slight curve. When excited or in motion, the tail may be carried raised with the curve accentuated. These breeds have been docked for decades and haven't been bred for a particular tail set or carriage. The tail does not have a significant impact on the dog's ability to perform his tasks. Coat: moderate and easy care. Both the Aussie and Miniature American standards state the coat is of medium texture, medium length, and weather-resistant. The backs of forelegs and breeches are moderately feathered. Males have more coat than females, especially around the neck and chest. These breeds were developed to work livestock on all terrain and in all weather conditions. Their coats should protect them from the elements, be low maintenance, and be self-cleaning. Non-typical coats. Both the Aussie and Miniature American standards severely fault non-typical coats. These are not described in the FCI standards, but are listed in the Australian Shepherd Club of America standard. These faults include coats that are excessively long, overabundant, profuse, wiry, or curly. Why are non-typical coats faulted? Because they are not practical. Excessively long, profuse coats will collect more rain, snow, dirt, mud, and debris than correct, moderate coats. Twigs, burrs, and stickers are more difficult to remove from long coats. A correct coat is weather-resistant. Rain, sleet, and snow that collects on top of the outer coat can quickly be shaken off. Mud literally falls off after it dries. The correct amount of undercoat insulates the dog against cold temperatures without adding excess bulk. It also keeps grooming requirements to a minimum. Ranchers and farmers have little time to groom their dogs, so a low-maintenance coat is a necessity. Colors: gorgeous variety. The recognized colors are black, blue merle, red, and red merle. All body colors may have white markings and/or tan points, but they are not required. Coat colors offer variety and individuality. Asymmetrical markings are not to be faulted. Black. Coat color can be black with white markings and tan points, which is called black tricolor and is shown in the first 2 photos in the top row. Coats can also be solid black, as pictured in the top row far right. The bottom row shows bicolors, which can be black with white markings or black with just tan points. Blue merle. Colors range from light blue to dark steel gray, with any amount of marbling, flecks, or blotches. They may have white markings and/or tan points, but they are not required. Notice the puppy in the bottom row far left who has only a small amount of merling on his face and chest. This pattern is referred to as minimal merle. Blue merles often darken with age, and the merling is less pronounced, as pictured in the bottom row far right. Red. Coats can be red with white markings and tan points, which is called red tricolor. Coats can also be solid red. Bicolors can be red with white markings, or red with just tan points, as pictured in the bottom row center. Colors range from cinnamon red to deep liver. Red merle. Colors range from cinnamon red to deep liver, with any amount of marbling, flecks, or blotches. They may have white markings and/or tan points, but they are not required. Notice the wide range of shades and merling patterns. All are equally acceptable. Minimal merling. These photos show 2 dogs with minimal merling. They could be mistaken as solid color dogs, but they are genetically merles. Notice that the red, who looks like a red tricolor, is actually a red merle. She has only a small amount of merling on her face. The puppy, whose body is all black, is actually a blue merle. He has merling only on his face, throat, and chest. If a puppy is born with merling only on his tail and his tail is docked, he can appear to be a solid color dog. However, he would be genetically a merle. These merling patterns are correct and fully acceptable according to the standards. Less common merling patterns. The photo on the left shows a dog with very light-colored patches of merling, which is correct according to the standards. However, under some types of light, these patches might be confused with white body splashes, which are a disqualification. Be careful not to mistake pale gray hair for white hair, especially under artificial lighting. If there is doubt, slide an armband or white piece of paper under the gray hair to compare it to true white. The two dogs on the right have irregularly distributed merling patches. These patterns are correct and equally as desirable as a coat with more evenly distributed merling patches. These breeds offer a wide variety of merling patterns, and there is no order of preference for the amount of marbling, flecks, or blotches. Dilution spots on merles. Dilution spots are isolated off-color areas in an otherwise normally colored merle coat. They can be small patches or can cover large areas. On blue merles, dilution spots are shades of brown or dusty gray. On red merles, dilution spots are intermediate shades of red or liver or both. There is probably a degree of inheritance of dilution spots, so this trait should be considered when choosing breeding pairs. Dilution spots are cosmetic and do not affect a dog's ability to do his job, nor do they have any negative effects on his health, but they are a deviation from the ideal. Tan markings. The Australian Shepherd breed standard states that all coat colors may have tan points, but they are not required. The Miniature American breed standard states that tan markings are not required, but when present, are acceptable in any or all of the typical areas. Tan markings can vary greatly. They can be any shade of tan, from creamy beige to dark rust. They may be crisply defined, as shown in the top row, or may blend with the base coat color or the merle pattern, as shown in the bottom row. There is no order of preference. Running copper describes tan-colored hair that is outside normal tan point boundaries. It is commonly seen around the eyes and on the thigh, as shown in the two middle photos. Non-standard colors. Yellow, sable, dilute black, and dilute red coats are faulted in Aussies and disqualified in miniature American Shepherds. Yellow dogs are pale yellow to mahogany red and can be mistaken for normal red. The hair shaft is the same shade of color from the skin to the tip of the hair. If a yellow dog genetically carries tan points, those are not visible. Some yellow-coated dogs carry a merle gene, which may not be apparent in the coat. Sable dogs have reddish hair shafts that are tipped in black or liver. Dogs with black-tipped hair shafts have black noses. Sables with red-tipped hair shafts can appear to be normal red and have liver noses. Some sables carry a merle gene, which may not be apparent in the coat. Dilute black and dilute red coats are the most common non-standard colors. The dilution gene causes a black coat to become slate gray, and the dog's nose will be slate or dark gray. Dilute red resembles the dusky pink color of a Weimaraner, and the nose will be light liver color. Dilution affects only the areas of the coat that would have been black or red. Tan points are the same intensity of color as on a non-dilute dog. This type of dilute color is not linked with any health issues. Why are non-standard colors faulted or disqualified? Because they detract significantly from breed character and may indicate mongrelization. Yellow and sable can mask the presence of the merle gene. If a person didn't realize their yellow or sable dog carried a merle gene and they bred it to a normal merle, some of the offspring could be blind or deaf because they would have two copies of the merle gene. Acceptable white markings. White coming up from the underpart and white above the hock on the hind leg is often referred to as belly and stifle white. For Aussies, white is acceptable on the neck, chest, legs, muzzle, blaze on head, and white extension from the belly up to 4 inches or 10 centimeters, measuring from a horizontal line at the elbow. Isolated spots or patches of white inside the area defined by the yellow box are a disqualification for Australian Shepherds. For miniature Americans, white markings are restricted to the muzzle, cheeks, crown, blaze on head, neck, chest, belly, legs, and may extend in a thin outline along the stifle. A small amount of white extending from the underline may be visible from the side, not to exceed 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters above the elbow. Note: look at both sides of the dog because markings can be different. Any conspicuous isolated spot or patch of white inside the area defined by the yellow box is a disqualification for miniature Americans. White body splashes. A white body splash is any conspicuous isolated spot or patch of white on the body between the withers and tail, on the back, or on the sides between the elbows and back of hindquarters. White body splashes are a disqualification for both Aussies and miniature Americans. Excess body white. White that extends into the body more than is defined in the standard is faulted according to the degree of deviation from the ideal, but is not disqualified. White collar. The standards state that the hairline of a white collar should not exceed the point of the withers at the skin. If the white collar of a dog appears to extend past the point of the withers, it is important to examine the collar by lifting up the hair to verify the location of the root of the hair. It is the root of the hair that should not exceed the point of the withers. The white collar of this dog does not exceed the point of the withers and is acceptable according to the standards. The white collar on this dog exceeds the point of the withers, and she has excess white on her loin. The excess white is faulted according to the degree of deviation from the ideal. White on head. Both the Aussie and miniature American standards state that white on the head should not predominate, which includes the areas surrounding the ears and eyes. White on ears. For miniature Americans, ears fully covered by color are preferred, and white covering more than 25% of an ear is a severe fault. Why is this important? White surrounding the ears may indicate hearing loss. If the hair cells in the inner ear lack pigment, the nerve endings will die during the first few weeks of life, causing full or partial deafness. However, many dogs with white ears have perfectly normal hearing, so if there is doubt, the dog should be examined by a professional. White should not surround eyes. Both breed standards state that the eyes must be fully surrounded by color and pigment. Why is this important? In puppies from Merle to Merle pairings, lack of pigment around the eyes may indicate eye defects or blindness resulting from improper development of the tissues of the eye. Excess white markings. Breed founders strongly discouraged excess white markings to avoid producing puppies with vision and hearing impairments. White markings outside the areas defined in the standards are a warning sign that puppies may be deaf or have defective vision related to lack of pigment. Excess white puppies from Merle to Merle crosses are frequently blind and may be partially or fully deaf. Puppies with excess white markings from solid to Merle crosses or solid to solid crosses may have 2 copies of the piebald or other white spotting genes. These puppies may be partially or fully deaf, particularly if there is extensive white on the head and around the base of the ear. The breeder might not know the sire and dam carry these genes until an excess white puppy is born. When making breeding decisions, avoid pairing sires and dams who both have maximum white trim because some of their offspring may have excess white trim and possible vision and hearing impairments. Aussies and miniature Americans were developed as livestock herding dogs who required excellent hearing and eyesight to perform their tasks. Breeders and judges who understand that excess white markings can be the source of vision and hearing loss will respect the limits defined in the standards in order to safeguard these breeds. To summarize this masterclass, you have seen many photos of Australian Shepherds and Miniature American Shepherds. Most of these dogs are excellent examples of the breeds, while others show faults and disqualifications. Now you have a better understanding of what the breed standards desire. You learned that the most important characteristics of these breeds are moderation, athletic ability, and structural soundness. You learned the definitions of terms that might have been unclear. You learned why specific traits are desirable or undesirable, and this knowledge can guide you in making better breeding and judging decisions. Thank you for your desire to learn. We hope this masterclass inspires you to protect the future of Aussies and Miniature Americans by staying true to their breed standards. You are the future of these wonderful breeds. We love our Aussies and Miniature Americans. They are wonderful companions and our best friends. They are bright, curious, and can easily get into mischief. Created by Paula McDermott, Claudia Bosselman, and Inga Serboulet. Special thanks to the dog owners and photographers who contributed to this video. Please share the YouTube link of this video with your friends and colleagues.
Disclaimer. This masterclass is offered publicly and without profit for nonprofit educational and informational purposes and is intended to be shared freely. Copying or reproducing this video is prohibited. This video may not be distributed for financial gain by any entity. This video contains photographs that are the property of the photographers, which may not be reused without their written permission. Portions of the Australian Shepherd Club of America Breed Standard have been included to provide supplementary information. Copyright 2024. Paula McDermott. All rights reserved.